All right, what's up, guys? Welcome. This is episode 15 of the Bearzi podcast. And today's episode of the podcast, we have Jon Kuhn, a fellow YouTuber content creator. What's going on, John? How you doing?
Not much is going on. I'm just living my best life, like they say on Instagram. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. I just wanted to quickly say, so we met on YouTube in the comment section. Now, I don't know if we talked about this, but I'm always looking for fellow content creators on the platform. And I don't know if you do the same thing as me, but whenever someone leaves a comment on my channel, I always click their name. I don't know why, but I think I'm trying to see if they're a fellow content creator as well. And most of the time you just get like a person's personal channel where they have no videos. But then I saw that you had, I think it was maybe like 25, 26 videos or so posted within the past year. And so I was like, okay, instantly gonna, ask this guy what's up if you want to be on the pod.
Yeah, I do click on people's names every time someone comments, and I've used that to my advantage in a sense to try to like cultivate a community for myself because I know that people have that interest. So there's a part of me that wants to build up my worth, if you want to call it that, as a content creator. That way when people are seeing my name on something, they click my profile picture, and wherever they go next, there is a bunch of potential value for that person there. And
Mm-hmm.
I hate marketing, even though that's what I do for a living. Essentially, I've been trying to refine what I do for a living because I'm a creator, and companies and brands and individuals will hire me to be creative for them. But I've started kind of refining my title as a creative consultant and videographer over the last year because I spend a lot of time coming up with concepts for people.
Okay, I see.
Right. So I know that if you're engaging with people that have similar interests to you, that's a good way to get people to kind of come into your world, and hopefully you can have a mutual relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you say like you're like a freelancer basically, right?
Right.
So did you get into videography with like the whole wedding scene, low budget music video type of gigs?
Yeah, I've never done a music video. Funny story about the music videos. Actually, when I was in high school, I did music videos. This was 15 years ago, and I used my parents' was like the high eight, whatever the tapes were, the big thick ones that you could put inside of like a blank VHS, and you could play that. I figured out how to take two VCRs and edit together video and put music on top of it. So that was kind of like my introduction into the video world. But
Oh wow.
in the last 4 years since I've tried to like make money with cameras again, I have had one experience with a low budget music video, and it was with a friend of a family, and I ended up firing him because it was like it was going to be a 2 day shoot for originally what was going to be $100 budget, and then he ended up bumping it up to $500. And then we had all these actors, and we had 4 different locations, and one of the actors couldn't be in the first half of the day of shooting, so they wanted us to film and then move everything to these different locations, and then kind of try to figure out how to refilm everything with the actor that was missing. And if this sounds like a nightmare to you, it was an
Well,
insane
that sounds
nightmare,
horrible.
right? And instantly I was like, I don't want any part of this, and I can't imagine it gets any better. So whatever that's worth, or whatever that friend of a family member did for me, they turned me off from doing low budget music videos forever after that experience. And I filmed.
I think that's actually a good thing. It's like a trap almost.
Yeah, I think so too. And I watch and listen to a lot of Tim Ferriss, and one thing that he said to me that I think about a lot in my own business, it's from one of the people he interviewed from his book Tools of Titans, and the guy was saying you can be a lion that hunts for field mice and you'll get fed a lot every day, but you'll still eventually starve, or you can be a lion that's hunting for the big kill, the big game, like the antelope, if you will. So all the low budget stuff, even though it's, I think, necessary on your journey, I think that eventually you have to get out of that if you want to have a sustainable business as a freelancer or a filmmaker.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. You're just always hunting those small 100, $200 gigs that pay you like nothing.
Right.
And you put in so much time when you should just be focusing on that one big project that could really compensate you for your skills, right?
Yeah, 100% if you can. I know that there's circumstances that arise in people's lives and everything's different, but if you're able to figure out a way to have a better relationship and to get better clients, that is, in my opinion, so much better than doing something like taking whatever job for $100 or doing the low end music videos. But that's all like it's all part of the learning process. If you're one of these people that are abundant now, the people that are self-taught YouTube University creators.
Yeah. I always find the path to freelancing very interesting because whenever I talk to videographers in particular, they always go through this horror show of bar mitzvahs, weddings, even like a funeral or a low budget music video where there's just these terrible jobs that hardly pay you anything. And even though you are, you know, learning your skill or getting better at your trade, like it does help. But early on, when I first started off doing those things, I quickly noticed that this was a trap and that doing these low budget gigs just for the sake of making money, it wasn't really making me happy. Like it is cool that you can make like money off of your camera or you're working these gigs, but at the same time I feel like these projects that you do, if they don't pay well, then you should at least do them because you love doing it. And I never felt that I loved filming a music video or I loved filming a wedding. And that like part of videography, it never really stuck with me.
Yeah, I resonate with that. And from my personal experience with the wedding industry and filming these funerals or bar mitzvahs, I filmed a birthday party for my niece. It was her first birthday or second birthday. She's a baby, and I got a lot of positive feedback from my family. And for a while, I thought maybe I can convince people to let me film their child's birthday. And it was the worst business idea, but I didn't. I was just so busy trying to figure out how to make any money with my camera. I hadn't begun to tap into a market where I could say, I'll film this for you for this amount of money, and someone understands the value in that. And you have to, I think, you have to figure out what your value is. When you're first picking up a camera, you don't have much value, unless you're someone who already knows what they're doing and you've decided to buy a camera for whatever reason. But I think for a lot of people, they're seeing people on YouTube make money. They're seeing other people have businesses with their camera. So they have this interest to get into the business and they don't necessarily have any value yet in that market. And a lot of people like you and myself start to learn that the people you're working for in the beginning, they also don't really understand what the value of video is. So they ask you to do everything because they don't value it. But now I'm to a point where when I talk to a client, they're much more accommodating because they understand how much work is going into what I'm doing. And then we have a much better relationship than a wedding I've filmed or the birthday party,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So your clients you have now, are they like repeat customers type of thing where they want you to do more than one project?
I tell them they should do more than one project a lot of the time. I had this pivotal moment at the end of 2019 where I think it was a Facebook local group. I don't know if you have these in your town. I think everywhere does. You're in Toronto, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So in Indianapolis, they have the different suburbs. They'll have like Noblesville chatter, Westfield chatter, Broad Ripple Village chatter. And people post like in search of ISO videographer, and an Italian restaurant said in search of filmmaker. So a few people tagged me, and I threw my website out there just to see what happened. And the guy called me out. And before I drove to the Italian restaurant, I looked at their Instagram, I looked at their Facebook, and I noticed that everything they were posting, all of the images were of bad quality. The copyright wasn't any good. I went to their website and it was super confusing. And I thought, this guy's going to ask me to make a video because his problem is he's not getting the kind of return on investment with his Instagram and his website. He's putting it out there. He knows he's supposed to have it, but he's not seeing a conversion. And in my opinion, it was because nothing looked appealing. The website was incredibly difficult to manage. And I know from talking to enough clients at this point in my life that they have heard about video and they've heard they should have it because they've seen a talk or someone said, hey, video is a really good way to market. So they think that by spending X amount of dollars on a video, it's going to solve all their problems. And me, prior to this, I just would have let them give me money to try to solve their problem. But what had happened in the past was I'd get hired for a video and then the person would never call me back. And I was working at like an entry level budget. Someone would give me $1,500 and I'd make a video for them and it wouldn't solve their problems. So I started,
Okay.
my shift was, I was like looking at this problem and I had to be honest. I was like, if this guy thinks that me making a video for him is going to solve all the problems he has on his in his online marketing advertising realm, that's wrong, and this person is going to be let down. So when I went into the meeting, I told him what I thought he needed, and it was more than one video. It was going to be photography, websites, and all this, and I threw out the number $10,000 to him because I was like, I think with that budget for the first 3 months of our relationship, I will be able to build up a team. I can hire a really good food photographer in the area. I can build out a website or hire someone to do that, and I can make a few videos for him. Because the problem is he needs a conversion from all of his online advertising. And the solution to that problem is not one video. So,
Okay,
right.
I see.
So currently where I'm sitting is I talk to a lot of mid-range small brands. Right now I'm working with a publication that's about advocating powerful women in the city. And they first approached me about doing a video for an event, a live event. And they wanted to put it onto YouTube. And I was like, I don't know if anyone's going to watch that. So in my opinion, that would just be a waste of money. So I kind of talked to them about what I would do if I had any budget and how I use video even for myself, because I've had conversion with my own personal business and I have like 400 Instagram followers, but I'm very intentional about what I'm putting out and where I put it and how I direct traffic, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I remember you mentioned in one of your YouTube videos about how even though you just have like a couple hundred followers on Instagram, you still engage with people and you talk to people. And most importantly, you reply to them when they inquire about your services or whatever you do. And I feel like a lot of the times that whole form of communication is what people are scared of, especially in freelancing. There's always like this weird thought, and I'm guilty of this too, where I'm always afraid of offering someone a service or a price and just being rejected. And I'm always fearful of asking. And then what happens is I just end up not communicating at all. And this actually happened to me like, I think it was 2 months ago. Someone contacted me on Instagram and they wanted a quote for, I think it was an engagement proposal. And I literally had no idea because I don't freelance regularly. So I was like trying to think of a number and then I came up with a number. I'm like, is this too high? Like, are they just going to reject me off the bat? And instead of just like having confidence in my abilities, like I had no idea of how to properly negotiate or communicate with a customer. And I feel like how you say like you're like a consultant, right? I feel like that is very valuable, especially in the market of freelancing. Because like you said, a lot of people, they don't know how to solve their problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think what you're saying, maybe it doesn't go away. I still am surprised when I will say a price to a client and they go, okay. And just for full transparency, my main priority in life right now is to be a stay-at-home dad with my kids, and my fiance is the breadwinner. When we got together, we were both servers, and she had a esthetician license, and then she got hired at a doctor's office and became a medical esthetician, and she is making really great money right now. And when she started making,
Oh, that's really good.
yeah, no, it's amazing. it's been this very humbling journey too, because you're told your whole life growing up that as the man, you have to be the provider. And the way I think a lot of people translate that is, I need to make all the money. I need to be the one bringing the bacon, you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. You know what's funny about that? One of the main reasons why I felt like I resonated with you was when I clicked your channel, and one of the first things I saw was you were talking about your kids and how you're a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm also in the same position where I have a newborn. I have a daughter. She's 10 months and she's my first, right? And then, like you said in your videos, you mentioned that your wife makes more money than you. And I'm actually in the exact same situation. My wife makes more money than I do. I currently only work part-time and I try to take care of our daughter in the mornings the best I can, right? And I feel like we had this weird, similar path or weird connection. And I was like, oh, this guy seems fairly interesting. And then I watched that video on, what was that show? Big Mouth or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that? Is that it? Big Mouth?
Yeah. Are you talking about the last video I made, or one of the videos I made?
Yeah, the most recent one.
Yeah. Yeah. The show Big Mouth.
Yeah, then I was like, okay, so this guy is actually very similar to me in like how you care a lot, not just about yourself, but also how you affect your kids and how the way you treat the world and the way you treat them affects how they grow up. And that was what kind of first, I don't know if I should say wanted to seek advice, but I was like, hey, maybe this guy can give me some advice on how to be a dad and a content creator at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, dude, if you're coming to me for advice, that sounds terrifying. So I haven't announced this to anybody yet, but I'm in the process of creating a group called Awoken Dudes, because I think there is a movement around men who may be in the position where their partner is a female and they make more money, or they're the breadwinner. And even if that's not true in their life, I do think that there is still a lot of room for men to open up and talk about emotions and to be vulnerable, because straight white males have gotten a bad rap recently, and for good reason. You know, there's been a lot of oppression of minorities, and there is a lot of racial inequality, especially in the States, that's needed to be addressed for a long time. But there's a lot
Mhm.
of guys that, you know, are like me, that are just like white straight dudes, and we are we are conditioned to not talk about our feelings and to not want to be a nurturer or to be a provider. And then if you are a nurturer, if you're with a woman that makes more money than you, that means she's going to go and cheat on you and all this. And it's like, it's not true. Like, I still feel like a man,
Mhm.
and my fiance and I still have like this beautiful, intimate partnership. We still have sex on a regular basis. We still argue and have to like come together and work through hard things in life, that are things that are beyond like how much money one of us is making. So I went off on a little tangent, and I don't want to get too deep into that rabbit hole. But
It's all
I
right.
am definitely inspired to leave the world a better place than I found it, and I do want to be the best person for my kids that I possibly can be. My son, after I ran a marathon for the first time a few weeks ago, and my son started crying, and he said, he's like, "I'm sorry, Dad. I can't help it. I'm crying." And first, I was like, "Dude," I was like, "It's okay to cry. You should cry if you have emotions." And I was like, "Why are you crying?" And he's like, "I'm just so proud of you." He's like, "You used to smoke cigarettes, and then you tried to run, and you couldn't even run around the block. And I just watched you run through the woods for 26.2 miles." I was like, "Yes."
Oh, wow.
I was like, "That is." Maybe I have memories like that of my dad, but my dad is someone I don't even talk to him at this point in my life. So like, I'm definitely inspired to have more memories like that for my kids.
Yeah, I saw the narcissistic father video you had. I think that was the title, right?
Yeah, that
Of your
video
channel.
came. You and I were talking before the podcast about uploading videos that you're not necessarily proud of, but like practicing, like developing the creative muscle and developing consistency. I was getting ready to go on vacation at the beginning of my YouTube journey, where I was uploading every week. and I knew I needed to upload a video the next week, and I didn't have time to film and edit something. So I was like, I'm just going to talk about this. It feels hard, and maybe it'll help somebody. So I recorded it the same day I did another video, and then like before I went on vacation, hit like schedule and upload. I've never promoted that video or told anyone I made it. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's something. It feels weird because I know exactly what you're saying, where you're not proud of the content that you're putting out, or maybe you feel like you could have done a way better job on that specific video, but at the same time, you can't let our perfectionism hold you back when it comes to content creation, right? And I'm starting to learn this too, is this whole creative process, especially with YouTube, with creating content that's valuable, content that's entertaining, and content that people just want to watch. It's very difficult to create an inspiring video week after week after week. Because if you think about it, 7 days is not a lot of time to think about a subject, research it, film it, edit it, put sound design. Like all of those things is so time consuming. But people think that, oh, YouTube is so easy. Just use your phone, turn it on, and just tell a story. But like for a lot of people, especially myself, I feel like whenever I do that, I just end up rambling about nonsense. I don't have any concrete ideas that I'm talking about. So for me personally, with my content, I always have to like sit down and think deeply about what I'm talking about, and kind of like work my creative muscle and try to put the story together. But it's just, I don't know how to put it, but I know exactly what you mean about like when you post a video like that, you kind of don't want to promote it and you kind of don't want to tell people about it, so it just sits there.
Yeah.
But at least I think the right decision is to post it, though.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. And a thing I've been saying a lot lately, and I think this is like a paraphrase from like something I've heard Gary Vaynerchuk say, but it's perfectionism is insecurity's favorite mask that it wears.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been obsessively listening to Seth Godin over the last few weeks. He had a book that just came out, and I've thought this about being a creator off and on. It's, when you have a job that you don't like. When I was like a server, I hated going to work, and I've honestly hated almost every job I've ever had. I don't even like some of the client work that I do necessarily, but I still show up. So it's like I should do that for myself. And I think that there is a level of trust in yourself that you're going to do the work and show up. And that trust comes from, I think, other people recognizing your work and talking to you and engaging with you. But it also comes from the inside. I've been writing every day for the last 8 days, and I've noticed the lack of trust I have with myself right now is akin to the lack of trust I had when I was trying to make family vlogs like 3 years ago. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And a lot of that is because, you're an intelligent person. I'm an intelligent person. Most people are talented at something and have a degree of intelligence to them. And when we compare ourselves to the people we look up to, we're not as good as them. And that's because we haven't put in the work. But the only way to get there, as you said in your last video, is to just grab the weight and lift it.
Yeah, man. Sometimes like that's all you really have to do.
Mm-hmm.
It may seem oversimplistic, but that's like the hard thing for a lot of people. And actually, doubling back to YouTube, I wanted to ask you a question in specific. When it comes to your YouTube channel and your freelancing gigs, is there one or the other that you're more passionate about, or that you would want to do long term more than the other?
The most simple answer to that is YouTube. That's what I would like to do. If I had to choose what I was going to do forever between client work and YouTube, it'd be YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Is it simply because of you get to make content that you that you love and that you can create, not creating content for someone else? Is that like the reason?
That is what I would have said a week ago. But now I would say it's because I get to choose who I serve.
Okay, I see.
I was watching a video a month ago around about that time. I don't know why I said a month ago. I don't know the date that I watched this. So it was recently in my life that I watched a video from someone who was saying why you shouldn't ask yourself why if you are overthinking. And it's because of how cerebral the question why is. And the
Oh,
person was saying you should wake up in the morning instead of saying, why am I getting out of bed? You should say, who can I help today? What can I do for them? Where can I do it? And ever since then, I've become kind of fixated on this buzzword in marketing, where this buzzword in marketing, and it's why. I see a lot of people, especially younger entrepreneurs, making why videos for people. And at the end of the day, like I don't actually care why someone decided to make ice cream. A why could convince me to buy it, but then that's kind of like a falsity. That is really good marketing in play. But if you put 2 cups of ice cream in front of me, I just want the one that tastes the best, right? And
yeah, for
right,
sure.
and for me, my why is always changing. But doing this kind of work I've been doing this last year, I've been doing more philanthropic endeavors, and that's because when I started using my camera, I was volunteering at my son's school, and I was like talking with this community leader, and he's a man of faith who left the church to serve in his community. He wanted to like actually like be a boot on the ground. So instead of asking myself why I'm making content or why I'm posting or why I'm writing, I've been asking myself who can I help with this more.
Okay, I see. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So instead of just asking why, like, who can I help with
Yeah,
this?
and with YouTube
See,
or any kind of, if you want to be a writer, if you want to be a singer, if you want to be any kind of artist that has a community, you know who those people are and you know what kind of work you can make for them. And then the where is currently right now it's YouTube. I've been writing, I could write a book and that would be another where, but I'm trying to really focus and hone in on who I can help. With freelance work, different clients have different groups of people or different who's. And I like helping people help their people, but it doesn't feel as rewarding as when you go and you're like hands on with the community that you choose to serve.
oh, okay, that makes sense. Because I actually struggle with part of my why where I don't know if you have this same problem, but I have this horrible problem where when I'm creating a video, I'm always thinking about, is this good for the algorithm? But then
Mm-hmm.
I stop and I think about, like, well, shouldn't I just create content that I love? But at the same time, like, you do want to help someone. You do want to help other people that may be in a similar situation of you, that could learn from your life experiences, right? So I'm always have this conflicting idea in my head, like, should I create this video that I think is good for the algorithm, or should I create this video because I thoroughly love it or enjoy the topic and maybe it will help someone? But what if it will never reach someone because it's not good, it's not searchable, it's not good for the algorithm? Then how can I help that person? So I have this horrible conflicting mindset every week whenever I'm trying to figure out where I want my content to go. Do you ever have that type of internal problem?
Yeah, 100%. I do you have TubeBuddy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do too. So when I'm thinking about, I script all my videos and I have an idea and then I start a script. But I have the idea and my ideas kind of get curated through TubeBuddy. Instead of just writing down a list of ideas, what I've been doing is I have an idea and then I type it into YouTube and then I base whatever my topic is going to be off of the points that I get on TubeBuddy. And I think in a lot of ways, this $45 a year program is inhibiting my creativity because, like what you're saying, like I want to make something that the algorithm picks up. I think if you're
Yeah, exactly, right?
right, right. I think if you're staying within a niche, that can be good. And I think that what you make is generalized enough that if that you can start to hone in on how do I optimize what I'm making. I was in a group for 2 years on Facebook called No Small Creator. Have you heard of it?
Yep, I've heard of
Okay,
it.
so I was in that group for a long time, and the thing that I saw that most people were doing that they were getting wrong is they were making videos that were different every week. Like one week it would be I react to video games, and the next week it'd be like a cooking show. So those people are creating things just because they want to get a million views. But it's like, what are you going to do with an audience of a million people that like your cooking show that don't care about if you make a video game the next, like video game review the next week? So I think there's like a healthy balance of what kind of stuff do I want to make and who do I want to make it for, and then how do I optimize that versus I don't care what I make and who it serves as long as it serves a lot of people at once. I think the latter is a losing approach.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. When I first started,
Yeah.
I had like basketball videos, I had StarCraft videos, I had all kinds of like craziness. I had a vlog in Las Vegas. Like it made no sense. There was no continuity in any of the videos I was creating.
Yeah.
And I ended up, finally realizing this and deleting them all. But at the time, I kind of wish I just unlisted them because I would have loved to just go back and look at those terrible 480p videos that I shot with God knows what camera I even had. I don't even know what I had like in 2010 or 2009. Like, like I don't even know what I was using, but I made that huge mistake early on, and that's like the one thing with YouTube that I'm always conflicted with is that you gotta like narrow down your content to like a specific type of niche, because then if you're creating self-development content and people find your channel, then they're going to want to watch all your other videos that are on self-development.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I don't want to like pigeonhole my creativity to just one specific niche. And I struggle with this all the time. Like I make these random videos every once in a while, like a 30-day challenge where I try to incorporate some type of new habit into my lifestyle.
Mm.
And all of those videos do well because it's like searchable, right? It's like, oh, I took cold showers or I tried to do pull-ups or something, right?
Yeah.
But then my most favorite video I made was me holding an ice cream cone and talking about never wanting to grow up. Now, that is not searchable in any way at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the 100 views and the creation process of that video made me 100 times happier than my pull-up video that got 10,000 views. You know what I mean? So I'm stuck with this struggle with, do I follow my creative instincts and do things that I love? But at the same time, should I also try to follow the algorithm? Like, I don't know what to do, and I'm stuck with this problem like every week.
Yeah, I think that is the brilliance in committing to having a posting schedule, because you're going to just keep making stuff, and there's a few ways you can approach what you're doing. I think making content that's within the realm of your interest and your niche that you know is going to do well will, if you look at it like this, like those videos will do well, and maybe 3% of those people will watch your ice cream video. That's still, out of what, 1,000, that's still 300 more people than would have watched the ice cream video had you not made the pull-up video.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
To use a restaurant analogy, restaurants in Indianapolis will do a thing called Devour Downtown twice a year, and they have a limited menu. It's not got everything on it, but it's kind of just there to let people know that that restaurant exists, and it gets people in the door to look around. It's still things that are always on the menu, and it's still like steakhouses aren't just giving away tacos, for Devour Downtown. So you're still when I watched your channel and went through your videos and I watched your challenge videos, I didn't notice anything that was super different from the other content that you were making. So you're still staying within your wheelhouse. You're just putting in a different kind of effort, but it still falls into the category of self-development, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
More, it's like Peter McKinnon. Less people will watch his very personal videos where he has taken his awful poetry. Sorry, Peter McKinnon. But he takes his poetry and he'll put it over like GoPro footage and like it's him swimming. And I'm like, do I actually think it's pretentious or am I just jealous? But whatever that is, those videos will get far less views than his 9 camera hacks in 90 seconds. But it's still him, right? He's not someone that is a photographer who's decided to try to make a baking video now. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, those videos that are super personal
sense.
will always get less views, but they're for you and they're for your true fans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I actually got some advice from my best friend who's a full-time YouTuber. And I talked to him about this problem I've been having this problem I've been having in length, because it's been bothering me for so long, right? Because I want to create content I love. And he gave me this idea where he said that I should create one for them and then one for me.
Oh.
And what he meant is create one video for your audience that maybe that your subscribers will like. But then after that, create one video for yourself, because that way you're keeping the whole content creation fresh. And then when you finish that video that you created for your subscribers, maybe you weren't that passionate about it, but then now you can look forward to next week because you can create a video that you love and you don't have to give a shit about what the algorithm does, right? So I've kind of incorporated this advice into my content creation, and it's been helping me out a lot recently. And what I've noticed is that like I'm a person that's not afraid of constructive criticism, and I'm not afraid to ask for help from other people. Like I don't have an ego where I think I'm always right. And regardless if you have 100,000 subscribers or you have 100 subscribers, I still feel like fellow content creators, we can learn something from each other regardless of where we are in the journey, right? Because I feel like we all have these same struggles and issues that we go through, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. I like that one for them, one for you. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
I'm very interested as a content creator and someone that puts stuff on YouTube. I'm very interested in your friend that is full-time. Is it a Toronto person?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's Brian Primetime. He does Final Cut Pro tutorials.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
It's weird because like in my circle, I have like successful entrepreneurs around me. Like my wife used to be a YouTuber, like a very successful YouTuber before she started her career in law. And it's weird because she had a successful channel that's like, it had like 40,000 subscribers or something. And on top of that, she has a career path that makes way more money than me. So she's super successful. And then my best friend, Brian, his channel's like over 100,000 subscribers. So again, he's like a full-time YouTuber, freelancer, videographer, everything, right? Yeah. And I have all these people around me that are just so much better than me in every single way. Like there's not a single thing that I do better than any of them. Like in any of my friends all around me. Like my other friends all have university degrees. They're all like very educated, have really good jobs. And I just like, I feel so small in comparison to everyone else, right? But it's giving me this insane drive to just like have no fear and just go after what I love. And even though this whole podcast thing is new to me and it's very awkward for me because I like to, like as I said earlier, I like to think deeply about subjects beforehand and then, kind of talk about a subject in depth. Whereas now we're just like speaking on the fly, right? And you're just like being present in the moment and just, you can't prepare for that, right? And it scares me. But I feel like these are good things that fellow content creators should do. And I've kind of made this dedication to 2021 where I want to, I don't know, do you ever listen to Joe Rogan's podcast?
Yeah, depending on the guest or if I have 3 hours.
Okay, so I heard this, I got this idea from his podcast where he talked about the comedians at the Comedy Store in LA. And he talked about how in LA, the Comedy Store was like a shithole. And no one wanted to go there. It was all hack comics. And it was just like dog eat dog world. And when everyone would get like a development gig or be on a late night show, all the other comedians would get jealous. And then what Rogan did was he went there and he brought positivity, love, and support to the community. And he started supporting other comics, right? And then that whole environment of comedians, it just started to flourish. And all these comedians were helping each other and bringing each other on the road and like, hey, check out this guy, he's funny. Check out this guy, he's going to be in Dallas. This guy's going to be in Vancouver. And I had this idea like, wow, why shouldn't YouTube content creators do that? Just because someone else in my niche has 100,000 subscribers, that doesn't mean like we can't help each other out, right? So that's why like I've been always just searching for people like yourself. Just I want to hear your story. I want to like, maybe you can learn something from me, or maybe I can learn something from you, and we can kind of just like grow this community in an authentic way.
Yeah, 100%. And it sounds like you're on the right path. I did stand up for 5 years, and I stopped when my son
Oh,
started.
really?
Yeah, and I stopped when my son started school. But very quickly into my comedic career, I didn't like the way that show promoters were doing shows. So I started doing shows on my own. And I was so excited that the fear didn't get in my way. I'm a little bit older now and wiser, so fear pops up more, which is good. That's like our amygdala saying, "Hey, there's like a lion or something over there. Don't let it kill you." But in our society, it's like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to start a YouTube channel and no one's going to watch it. It's like, so what? But from doing shows in my city and just inviting every comic that I like to come do shows, and then like newer comics, like I could see connections being made, and I've seen other people in my circle like get jobs from the people they met when we were doing these comedy in a house shows. And that community cultivation flourishes everywhere. And we live in a world where we can start creating our own tribes and our own communities. And doing that or being a part of that is imperative. Like you are, like you were saying, like um, you compare yourself to everyone around you, and everyone else is so much bigger with their success. But the reality is, like, you're in that arena, right? So those people are driving you to be better. If you reach out to other creators, whoever it is, like you're going to make them better, and vice versa. So it's amazing that you're doing that. And I'm all on board for that. That is so awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it's weird when you think like just because we don't have 10,000 subscribers, for example, that we can't reach out to someone, or oh, this guy has 10 subscribers, he's beneath me, why should I talk to him? Like that whole mentality, it's just poisonous, and nothing good ever comes out of that. And I always had this idea, which was inspired by Rogan, to if I can somehow bring that positivity to content creation, and more specifically like the more introverted self-development side of YouTube, which is kind of where my content falls in, because I'm not an enthusiastic like in your face person. I don't have a very entertaining voice or brash personality, right? I'm very like monotone, laid back, more relaxed. But I feel like there is still a place for us type of content creators that like talk about more sensitive subjects, like like men talking about their feelings, for example, like what you were talking about earlier. I feel like there's a place for that on YouTube.
Yeah, 100%. There is, and the only thing stopping you from doing it is yourself, right? Just dive into it and
Yeah,
start
exactly.
asking people. I I've reached out to people at the beginning of my content creation career and got a lot of no's because I was being so selfish, and I was naive, but I just wanted numbers. And I thought if I can amass a following, then I can make change. But I didn't know what kind of change. But once I started kind of honing in who I am and what I wanted to do, I still get a lot of no's, and I still will reach out to people that have massive audiences sometimes. But during the aftermath of George Floyd and the protests and the rioting, I had a guy who's a New York model and has like 100,000 followers on Instagram. I reached out to him and said, I feel very passionate about this. I would love to talk to you about this. And he brought me on to his Instagram live. And I don't think that would have happened. And I know for sure that wouldn't have happened had I just said, hey, I would like to talk to you, but without anything to back up my belief system, you know?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So yes, you should not judge people by their size of their audience, right? Because we're all like in this struggle together, but finding people that regardless of their subscriber count, finding people that align with you, and it sounds like you're on that path. Like you already know that. It's just like at this point, it's just a matter of doing the work, you know, and you are
Yeah, I
doing it.
know, right?
Yeah, you. From talking to you for 46 minutes for the first time in my life, you sound more sure of yourself and competent than most random people I talk to. You know. So you should, for sure,
Oh,
in
that's
my opinion,
hilarious.
believe in yourself because it sounds like you know what you want and it sounds like you're going there. It's just a matter of like doing whatever you need to do to prove it to yourself. Because I totally get that, like being in that circle of successful people because I've been there. I'm there now with my fiance that's like crushing it. I feel like I have something to prove all the time, but if she didn't find value in me and the people in my life didn't find value in me, like I wouldn't even be there. And same goes to you.
Yeah, true. I don't know if you feel the same way as me, but whenever I look at my wife and I see her success, whether that's financially or whatever that success is, it's not that I don't feel jealousy or I don't feel anger. I feel pride.
Hmm.
Like I'm happy that she's doing well. And then what it kind of does is it gives me extra motivation to better myself. It'd be like, oh, hey, Tina's doing this. Oh man, I should like step up my game. She's like doing amazing at her job and all these other things. And it gives me this extra motivation. Whereas the old male mentality is more like look down and like punch downwards instead of like accepting and making this situation into something that's positive. Like do you feel about that like when you view your fiance?
100%. The first uh, for the first 4 or 5 years of my son's life before I met my current fiance, I wasn't very honest with myself. I was still pretty negative. I still punched down. I The way I like to say it is I tried to father like my dad fathered me, and it didn't work. The second I decided to start doing the exact opposite of everything he did with me, my life got immensely better. When I just when I stopped seeing someone else's success as taking away from my potential success, everyone in my life and everything in my life got better. Um, what's different about my fiance from what it sounds like with Tina is my fiance loves why she got into what she's doing, and she loves the money that it brings us, but a part of her feels unfulfilled because it's a lot of cosmetic treatment. So we're trying to figure out
Okay.
how to both work and make similar money to what we're making now, and to mostly do work that is like rewarding and helping people like achieve some kind of like I guess spiritual success versus like something that's like if you have confidence in your vanity, that helps improve your life. But it's not the same as
Okay, I
like if you
see.
convince someone to go meditate for the first time.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask you about the meditation thing. I remember you mentioned it in one of your videos. Now, meditation this is actually a good segue. Meditation is something that like I've tried. Is it a practice that is in your daily routine?
It is not in my daily routine, but there are periods in my life where it is. And whenever I'm in a period where it's not daily, I desperately want to get back to a place where it is. And the way that I've successfully made it a daily practice has been by being realistic about how much time I can give to it. Like the only way I could meditate an hour a day would be if I got up at like 5 a.m. And I love the idea of getting up at 5 a.m. But does that happen when I'm trying to get two 11-year-olds to bed and they're up until
Oh, that's impossible.
11:45 getting water every 5 minutes? I'm like, I'm like, what? I'm like, I could be like this, like Jocko Willink, and sleep for 3 hours a day, but like, I don't function very well, and I'm not the best person to be around. So for me, being realistic about what I can do in my life has allowed me to have consistency with that routine. Um, yeah. So when I'm doing meditation every day, I'll do it like 10 minutes a day, sometimes 20.
Okay, that's pretty good. Because I feel like meditation is a thing that everyone says they do, but no one really
Dude,
does. If that makes
Yes,
any sense. You know
yes,
what I
yes.
mean?
A lot of people. I was just talking with these holistic coaches, and one of them does not do meditation and mindfulness coaching, and he said, "I think everything's a meditation. Like if you're at a stoplight and you breathe in for a minute, or before you go to the grocery store." I'm like, being mindful is good,
What?
right? I do. I hear people say that all the time. I've heard Joe Rogan say, um, he'll meditate at stoplights. I'm like, I was like, you still have to have like a sense of awareness about
Uh,
the
I
world
don't know
around
about
you.
that.
I don't either, and I don't want to be competitive about meditating, but I think a lot of people say that because they think it's a good thing, and that's awesome that people think it's a good thing and they should do it. But it is hard to sit down, and I know that if I go a week without meditating, I know that I will start trying to put it off, because to sit for 10 minutes in complete silence and do nothing but breathe in through your nose is super hard. And even when you're practicing, it's hard. But the longer you go without doing it, the harder it becomes, because it is a skill that you have to develop to be able to be at peace with your mind. Who is the philosopher that said that all a man's problems stem from his inability to sit alone and or sit in silence with himself? There's something that like a Stoic said like 2,000 years ago, before TV and the internet and everything.
Oh, is that like a Marcus Aurelius type of quote or
It's
something?
probably something in one of those Ryan Holiday books, but it's crazy that people were saying that in cities thousands of years ago, because it's like a truth that's played out even now. Like it is so hard if you're not practicing to sit and just breathe, but you learn a lot about yourself when you practice it daily. I think the longest this year I've gone with meditating daily has been like several months, and I definitely noticed a huge shift in myself. Even Alexis, my fiance, has said this year, with everything that's going on, like she has said that she's noticed a huge change in my personality, and I attest all of that to having some consistency with meditating. But it is hard.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I agree 100% with that, because the beginning of this year, I started practicing
Hmm.
meditation for the whole mindfulness, mental clarity, all that kind of stuff, just and also part of the experience. But as time went on, I completely lost the practice from my routine, and I haven't done it in probably months. And I completely respect anyone that does practice it on a daily basis, as it is so difficult. And if you haven't truly meditated, like sitting down in a room with no music, no noise, no nothing, and just breathing, it's so incredibly difficult. And I always have this problem where I tell myself, "Oh, you can do some meditation tomorrow. Oh, maybe you'll have time on the weekend. Oh, maybe you can have time before work on Monday or something." Like I always come up with these internal excuses why to never do it, and part of that is true. Like I am incredibly busy with the amount of things I have to do, but at the same time, it's kind of this practice that I wish I could do. I know I could do, but for some reason I can never get myself to do it. And I don't know what it is about meditation, but I feel so good whenever I did do it. And I felt like amazing after going through a session, especially if it's like even just 10 minutes. Like I would do 10, 15-minute sessions and I'd feel really good about it. But there's this weird thing that I have recently where I just can't get back into the groove of doing it. I don't know why.
Do you schedule your days? Do you
Um, like write things down type of
yeah,
thing.
like the night before? Because I will do that before I have what I consider to be a successful day. But on days where I go through the list of reasons why I can just do something the next day, those days always happen when I don't have any pressing obligations and I do not have a schedule for myself. But days where I do get meditation in and a workout in, and I work on writing or some kind of like personal content creation, those days only come from me planning it out the day before and like prioritizing taking care of myself.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, no, I don't plan out my days. I have like a pretty strict schedule where like I'll wake up at 6, take care of my daughter in the morning. I have a workout in my garage. Like no, I'll have lunch at 12, work out in my garage at 1, leave for work at 2, get home from work at 10, have dinner. Like I'm very structured with the times I do things, but I do the same things like every single day.
Mhm.
But there are times where I'll have like an extra window, maybe an hour or two here or there for something, but all that free time always goes towards editing a video or finding music to a video or filming B-roll somewhere. And it's always like, I always use that free time to YouTube, and I always be like, oh, I have to use this time to film this, get this shot, or fly my drone, or oh, I got to get some shot of the weather or something. You know what I mean? So all my free time always gets allotted to just content creation. And even times where I don't work out, like I don't work out every day, but I do follow a pretty strict routine of at least 4 sessions a week. But there are days where I have rest days, and still that time from 1 o'clock to 2 where I normally work out, I'll spend on Adobe learning how to color grade or something. Like it's always about content creation, and I can never get those other things into my life. It's so, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, maybe do a video on meditation. Like you said, you like the philosophy or the approach of one for you, one for them. I think a 30-day meditation video is one of those searchable things, right? And then you'll get the streak going.
I actually did that.
Oh.
I actually did that like way in the beginning, in like the beginning of my channel, and that video bombed.
It might get picked up now, or
it's so bad,
or come up with a way to repackage it, dude. I've done stuff and had it bomb, and like I guess technically everything I'm doing now is bombing, but then you can revisit the idea later. I've got like 3 different YouTube channels, and I'm not going to tell you what the other 2 are. But
oh really?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Like, well, I thought I was going to be a family vlogger a few years ago, and one, that's not even fair to my kids to like have them like be employees, basically. It's so stressful. But I guarantee you, if you tried to do that 30-day of meditation like a year ago, like you would be able to do it now and feel so much better about it. And you'll probably have like some sort of sense of pride at the ease in which you'll be able to do the video now versus then. That's just my thought.
That's true. You know what's funny though? I did 1 hour every day for a whole month, and it was like with 0 experience, and it kicked my ass.
Really?
But it's funny because it destroyed me. It was so difficult. But what's funny was that was when my motivation was at like 120 out of 100. Like when I first got like my camera, I was really dedicating time to YouTube, and I went up north like to cottage country. I found like a small waterfall, and I sat on the rocks in front of the water and did a time lapse of like a meditation with all these like random people walking by watching me. And then I bought like tea lights or something and went out to a dock at like 3 a.m. when it's like pitch black and filmed another time lapse there. Like I was so dedicated to the video, but I was dedicated for all the wrong reasons. I was like, oh, I'm going to get this sick meditation waterfall shot. It's going to get me views. Or I'm going to get this wicked shot at 2 a.m. at the dock. That's going to get me views.
Yeah.
And I feel that's part of the reason why the video bombed, because I came across as disingenuous. And it was like a video that I wasn't truthful about, and I was doing it for all the wrong reasons.
People sniff that out.
But
sorry. Yeah,
exactly. Like people, like YouTubers, like especially your subscribers, they can smell the bullshit, right? Yeah. in your content that's fake and not authentic. And I don't know, man, the whole meditation thing, I respect anyone that can practice that. It's definitely difficult.
Yeah. So you did an hour straight every day?
Yeah, I think the first day I couldn't make it, and it was like 40 something minutes, but the rest of the month it was an hour straight, like every day.
Yeah. Dude, it
was so hard.
Yuval Noah, I can't remember the guy's last name, but the author of Sapiens, still gives himself a month to go to a yoga retreat every year, no matter how busy he is, and he meditates for an hour in the morning and at night every day.
Oh wow. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think that if I got up at 5 a.m. to meditate, I would go and just fall back asleep in my living room. So kudos to you for doing the hour. That's insane.
Yeah, it was bad because like I'd be getting like back pain, like from sitting in a position with like my legs crossed, and like I didn't even know how to do it properly. Like, should I sit against the wall?
Yeah.
Should I sit on the couch? Like what should I do? And I just like sat on the floor, turned on the camera, and just did a time lapse. And then my back was killing me. Oh my god, it was horrible. I just remember the whole thing being so difficult. But like I guess in my mind, I rationalize like, are these benefits worth the discomfort? And I guess I came to the answer of no. And maybe that's why I kind of quit the practice. But now I kind of regret it. I wish like I kept going with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I think, like I was saying, being realistic about what you can do. Like there's days where I go longer than 10 or 20, but it's very rare. And I can't remember the last time I did an hour. I think the last time I did an hour of meditation, I was in my early 20s and I was a dirty hippie smoking a lot of pot and eating mushrooms. Um, I, I feel the benefit of doing 10 or 20 minutes. You know, I am able to recognize that I'm having physiological effects because of my thoughts, and that my thoughts are just that they're emotions, and they come and they go, and you don't have to react to every emotion. And I forget that if I'm
Mhm.
not meditating, even if it's just for like the 10 minutes and I'm just sitting in silence. And I always feel like it goes by too, well, I don't always, I start to feel like it's going by too fast when I'm in the practice. So maybe try to not be an insane psychopath about it and just do like 10 or 15 minutes, in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean insane
It's
in the best way
crazy.
possible.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just that my personality, I have a very obsessive compulsive
Hmm.
personality, which is part of the reason why I stayed away and I feared things like methamphetamine and crack and heroin, like those really like tough drugs, because I have this horrible compulsive personality where when I do something, I can't just do it to enjoy it. I have to go like 120%.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like when I grew up when I was younger, I grew up as a professional gambler. That was for like 9 years of my life from when I was like 19. So I have this horrible compulsiveness into my personality. And when it comes to fitness, like I've been practicing cold showers for like 4 years, like every single day. I do it every day, and then intermittent fasting in the morning. I like go through, like 16 hours. I can go no food, no problem, and then I can work out like every month. Like all these things, I just have all this willpower that I can just do it no problem, and I have so much dedication. But then when it comes to anything that gives me mental or spiritual benefit, I can never get it down, and I can never find that consistency. And I feel like my physical willpower that I can use for all these other things that I do in my life, it just doesn't apply to like the meditation. And I don't know what it is. And it's the same thing with reading or anything of the mind is what I really really struggle with.
Think about, okay, so I'm right there with you, by the way. You and I are kindred spirits. I supplemented my income when I moved. I have full custody of my son, and I moved from Florida back to Indiana when the court awarded me custody. And the way that I supplemented income was by like going to casinos and playing poker. And I was,
Are you
yeah,
serious?
yeah,
No
yeah,
way.
like,
Are you
yeah,
serious?
seriously. Like just, and then I'd have games out of my house with people, and like there'd be a few of my friends, we were good, and we would just invite everyone over because we knew that they would drink and keep putting money on the table. And it's like, now that I say that out loud, I'm like, that's not great. But I go to like a lot of like KFC's, Knights of Columbus, like basements of of theaters that, like, it's like the valet guys and stuff. And I
Yeah.
watched the movie. What was the movie with Matt Damon?
Rounders.
Rounders. I watched Rounders a lot. But everything I do is to the max. I read the book Jack Kerouac, by Jack Kerouac, On the Road, and I went and was homeless and lived in a van and hitchhiked for years, and then like had my go about with like drugs, and had like this crazy extreme life. And everything I do is fully to the max. But
Oh, that's so interesting.
same thing with all the mental stuff too, like what you were saying. Like anything that involves discipline and sitting with your mind, like any kind of mental discipline. And I think the reason I put this off, and the reason you may do this too, is like the barrier to entry for gambling or drugs or working out. going for a run, the barrier to entry is so much smaller than like meditation or writing, meaning you can just run out the door, or you can just grab the weights, or you can call someone and then you're going and you're gambling and you're getting the hits of dopamine immediately. But when you want to read or you want to meditate, like it takes an extra level of commitment to something. And if you're too in your head and you start questioning why you're doing it, it's very easy to put it off. So for
Okay, I
me,
see what you're
yeah,
saying.
like committing to it the same way you would working out. Like recently, I did. I wanted to be able to do 100 push-ups, and I can't do 100 push-ups in a row, and I tried to break it up throughout the day, and I got to like 80 or 60, something like that, in my arms.
Oh, that's still
I
good.
couldn't move them for like 3 days afterwards. And I was like, this is
Oh.
embarrassing. I was like, I'm gonna have old man flabby arms by the time I'm like 39. So I started real small, and it's the most humbling process in the world to like take out a calendar and for 6 weeks write down that I was gonna do 20 push-ups a day for the first week, and then the next week 30, and so on and so forth. But the only way I was able to get to the 100 was by being humble and accepting that I was super bad at it by comparison to everyone else around me. I think for you and I, all the mental stuff is the exact same, right? Because there's this formula that's talent times effort. Um, talent times effort equals success. So you can be really bad at something. You can be like a 1 on a scale from 1 to 100, but if you put in 100 effort, you're at 100%, right? So someone that is like
Yeah.
starts out like at a 50 mentally, they only have to put in twice as much work to be 100. But if you're putting in work, you're just going to get incrementally better. And I learned that equation from a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth. And in that book, she cites a lot of examples of people that shouldn't be succeeding in a career. Like, for example, there's this guy named John Irving, who's like one of the most celebrated contemporary American authors, but he's dyslexic. But he's able to be a writer because he spends more time working on his craft than someone else that can read better than him and is more naturally literate, but they don't put as much effort in. That was
Ah,
I don't know if there's
that's
anything you can
interesting.
extract from all of that, but
No, no, I get it. You seem you got to give me some book
cool,
recommendations, bro.
man.
You seem very well read.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of books. I also listen to like I'm good at like pretending like I know what I'm talking about, like listening to like a 10-minute interview and like putting it into practice. That's because I'm
Are you
go ahead.
an audiobook guy or like a hardcover book guy?
Uh, I would prefer to be more of a hard book guy, but it's been a lot of audiobooks, so I can like listen and clean or drive. Spend a lot of time being a cab driver for 11-year-olds right now.
Oh, true.
Yeah, yeah.
I hear you, man. You're gonna have to give me that parenting tips, bro, in the future.
Yeah, you as well, man. Yeah, it's
Mine's just learning to climb up the stairs. She literally just learned
yeah,
yesterday, like how to climb the first step,
that's awesome.
and then she made it all the way upstairs, and I was like, "Oh my god, here we go!"
That's so awesome.
Like, what do I do? Like, I don't know what's going on.
The best advice that I've ever heard, and I give this to anyone that ever asks, but it's a quote from Louis C.K. of all people. But in regards to in
Yes.
regards to parenting, it's let it change you, right? Like
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
don't fight the changes because you're gonna change. And for me, it was I started becoming more vulnerable. I started crying more, and I fought that for a long time. And then the second I stopped fighting it, I started doing things like that led to like my kid saying he's proud of me, or doing things that like I felt proud of myself for. And that only happened because I let it change me.
Hmm.
Like, and that's like kind of the motivation for like the awoken dude thing. So my fiance just got home. The dogs are going crazy.
Bro, I feel like you're like my long lost brother or something. I have a dog too. I also play poker. I'm a YouTuber. What is
Right?
this? What is
Right.
going
I
on
mean that
here?
dude, this just attests to the fact that if you everyone has like a voice or a unique perspective, and maybe not unique. Everyone has their unique perspective, right? And maybe there's
Hmm.
a million people out of 6 billion that are like you, but if you're not going to find those people if you don't put your stuff out there, right? Like we
Yeah,
weren't
that's
going to
true.
find each other. We weren't going to find each other if we didn't have an internet presence. So like how many people that are like a Derek and a John that are out there that maybe aren't content creators, but they want to learn from what we've learned, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey man, well said. We did well over an hour, bro.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this podcast up. Let's tell all the people where they can find you, your YouTube channel, Instagram, all that.
Instagram is my name, Jon Kuhn, and YouTube's the same thing. I think I've done a good enough job of SEO that if you just type in Jon Kuhn, Jon Kuhn, you'll see a long-haired, hippy dippy looking guy, and that's me.
You know what's funny? I search your name, and this like Jon Kuhn
Yeah,
glass came
yeah,
up or something,
yeah,
and I was like, what the hell is this?
yeah. Jon Kuhn, the glass artist. I think my name still pops up underneath that, but maybe not. Let me check incognito mode.
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, dude, I've made it
Jon Kuhn's
I made
glass.
it a mission a long time ago to be above the glass guy, but he's got a decent amount of followers.
Yeah, the Our State magazine or something.
Oh yeah, maybe I'm not popping up. Yeah.
Oh well, it's all good. Well, thanks for doing the pod, bro. That was an awesome conversation. We definitely got to do it again.
Yeah, 100%, Derek. Thank you for so much for having me on.
Yeah, anytime, man. All right, guys. Peace. Thanks for watching. All right, man. That was awesome.
Thanks, man.